Roman Godfrey is sitting in an ice cream shop when a girl comes to the door and looks at him in a serious way. They leave together and later sit in Roman's car, where they share a private moment. After it is over, Roman gives her money so she will forget his name. The scene then changes to Brooke Bluebell, a cheerleader who may be secretly dating her teacher, Banksy. While driving to meet him, Brooke stops at a railway crossing. She is busy texting on her phone when something unknown suddenly attacks her car. She crashes, runs into the forest, and hides inside a shed. The creature finds her there and attacks her. Before she dies, she calls Banksy, who hears everything. The scene then goes back to earlier that summer, when Peter Rumenchek and his mother Linda arrive in town and move into a trailer left to them by Linda's late brother Vince. In the distance stands the Godfrey mansion, showing the contrast between their lives. While Linda cleans the trailer, Peter goes into town and steals a jacket for himself and a necklace for his mother.
You didn't need my help at all to clean up this place.
Later, Peter sleeps and dreams of a snake eating tail and jellyfish floating. When he wakes up, Christina is watching him. They talk, and Peter shares personal things even though they just met. Christina notices his fingers are the same length and believes it means he is a werewolf. Peter confirms it and speaks about it sarcastically. Soon, the town sheriff drives by and watches them. Wanting to avoid police, Peter and Christina separate. Meanwhile, Roman has distant conversations with his mother Olivia Godfrey, but he becomes happier when he learns she rented a carnival for him as a gift. He invites his cousin, Letha Godfrey, to spend the day with him. The next day, at high school, Roman and Peter notice each other across the courtyard when Peter arrives. Peter greets Christina, but she rejects him because she does not want others to see her talking to an outcast. Soon after, a girl with bandaged hands and hair covering her face walks into school. Peter watches the tall girl pass and sees a faint blue light under her skin under a lamp. He later learns she is Roman's sister, Shelley Godfrey. At home, Peter tells his mother about the Godfreys, saying people believe Roman is an Upir, a vampire from Russian folklore, though Peter doubts Roman knows this. He also admits he does not understand what Shelley might be. His mother warns him to stay away, but he clearly will not. At the Godfrey estate, Olivia asks Roman at dinner about his first school day, and Roman talks about Peter, calling him a gypsy rumored to be a werewolf, which disgusts Olivia. After dinner, Shelley rides the elevator to her attic room and removes her wig, revealing her badly disfigured face. The scene jumps back 13 years. In the rain, her father J.R. argues with his brother Norman, rejects Shelley, calls Olivia evil, asks Norman to help destroy Olivia, grows furious when Norman refuses, and reveals he knows Norman has been sleeping with Olivia. J.R. goes home, takes a gun from a drawer, rides the elevator to Shelley's room, stands over her crib without hurting her, then goes to Roman's room and kisses his forehead goodbye. Later, young Roman finds his father dead with blood spreading across the rug while Olivia comforts him and says he is stronger than his father. In the present, Norman confronts Olivia about increased funding for Dr. Price's research at the Godfrey Institute, but she avoids his questions as he keeps pressing. Brooke's body is found. The sheriff questions Peter and releases him. Christina calls him a werewolf. Norman brings sheriff to Dr. Price, who says it was animal attack. That night, Peter returns and finds Roman, who asks how it felt to kill the girl. Roman and Peter meet in the open field where Brooke Bluebell died. Peter says he did not kill her and thought Roman might be responsible, but Roman also says he is innocent. They begin talking about werewolves, but their conversation stops when a police car arrives.
Shit, it's cool, don't run.
Two police officers walk toward them in a strict and serious way. Peter becomes scared, but Roman stays calm. He answers their questions easily, and when they try to arrest him, he looks into their eyes and uses his strange power to make them go away. Peter feels shocked by this and soon leaves. After the opening credits, Letha Godfrey appears briefly in a strange dream where a dark figure with angel wings comes toward her. The scene then shifts to Shelley Godfrey, who writes a thoughtful email to her uncle Norman. She tells him about a recent restaurant visit and says she finally stood up to her controlling mother, something Norman has always wanted for her. In a flashback, Olivia orders the usual meat dish for Shelley, even though Shelley clearly wants a salad. With support from her brother Roman and a friendly waitress named Jenny, Shelley calmly speaks up and asks for what she wants. Later, Norman reads Shelley's email at home and smiles warmly, but his happiness fades when his wife and daughter arrive and tell him that Letha is pregnant.
Your daughter's pregnant.
The next day at school, Roman skips class to secretly meet a girl in the restroom. Peter overhears them and feels awkward, then walks away after Letha gives him a look of disgust. Elsewhere, Norman meets Olivia at a hotel bar and angrily demands answers about Letha's pregnancy, suspecting Olivia or Dr. Price. Olivia denies knowing anything, and Norman explains that Letha believes an angel gave her the child, but he fears she was hurt and made up the story to cope. Afterward, Norman and Olivia go to a hotel room and sleep together, showing their long affair continued even after J.R. Godfrey died, though Norman again says it is over. Olivia acts unaffected, but later cries with another man. Back at school, students prepare for the Halloween homecoming dance. Peter is bullied after speaking kindly to Shelley, but Roman helps him, offers a ride home, and they begin bonding over family stories in Roman's car. Roman tries to talk to Peter about his Ouroboros dreams and his strong feeling that something big is coming, but Peter refuses to listen, even though he clearly feels the same thing. Peter leaves Roman and stays home with his mother, Linda, instead of going to the school dance, while almost every other teenager goes to homecoming.
Homecoming.
Christina gets ready with her friends Alexa and Alyssa Sworn, the sheriff's daughters, and tells them she likes Tyler, a boy who once dated Letha Godfrey. The girls joke and compare Tyler to Letha, which makes Christina uncomfortable. The sheriff drops them off, scolds them about their language, and tells them to be home by 10, and they agree before running off. Roman takes Letha to the dance, but he feels hurt because she spends most of the night talking to her ex-boyfriend Tyler. Tyler later meets Christina, and they leave the dance floor to sit awkwardly on the stairs together. The dance ends suddenly when Roman releases a snake into the school, and everyone is forced to leave. While driving away, Letha tells Roman she is pregnant and cannot drink, saying an angel is the father. Roman does not believe her, but stays quiet, and they briefly hold hands. They stop when they find a man in the road talking wildly about visions. Letha comforts him, but when he sees Roman, he shouts about Brooke Bluebell. Later, Peter finds his yard vandalized and remembers his grandfather warning that Upir look human but have dark eyes. The next day, Peter pushes Roman away again, but later agrees to let him watch his change. Roman waits with Peter and Linda, and when the time comes, Peter transforms, and the werewolf runs into the forest. Christina is going through the forest when she finds the body of a girl who has been badly cut. At first, she thinks it is not real and believes it is a terrible joke. She moves closer and touches the girl's mouth to check. Then she looks more carefully, sees insects on the body, realizes it is real, and screams in fear. At the same time, we learn that the strange man Roman and Letha found is called Francis Pullman. He is now calmer while Norman Godfrey talks to him during a mental health check. Norman asks him about the symbol called the Ouroboros.
Can you tell me about Ouroboros?
But Pullman only says that other people brought him back to life and that he does not want to see terrible things anymore. Later, Peter comes home after his change and finds Roman asleep on the couch, waiting for him. Roman asks how the night went, and Peter says he felt something very bad while he was out. He asks Roman to promise not to tell anyone what he sensed, and Roman agrees. Roman then offers to drive Peter to school, and Peter quickly falls asleep. While sleeping, Peter dreams that he and Roman are standing on top of the old Godfrey steel mill, and Roman has a bloodstain on his shirt shaped like an Ouroboros. Elsewhere, the sheriff questions Norman about a strange order that moved Francis to Hemlock Acres, saying only someone powerful and connected to the Godfreys could do this, though Norman denies it. The sheriff then hears on the radio that another body has been found, and the upper half Christina discovered is identified as Lisa Willoughby. The scene shifts to Clementine Chasseur, who wakes up, holds a cross, tells herself to be strong, and leaves for morning mass, upsetting a woman who cares about her. Clementine later meets a priest, learns about a deadly attack, shows the sheriff her Fish and Wildlife badge, studies the crime scene, and realizes the killer left the body on purpose. Back at school, cruel students surround Shelley Godfrey, accuse her of murder, and upsets her. When Roman arrives and sees students bullying Shelley, he becomes furious and uses his mind power to force the two main bullies to kiss in front of everyone, then makes them leave. Later, Roman and Peter hide during a school break and talk. Peter explains that he believes the killer is a Vargulf, a wolf that has lost its mind and kills without reason, unlike normal wolves or werewolves. Roman says they should hunt it down and stop it to save lives, seeing himself as a hero, but Peter refuses and says no, which hurts Roman deeply. Feeling pushed away, Roman calls Letha, but she is at a doctor's appointment about her pregnancy and cannot talk. Feeling rejected again, Roman goes to a bar using a fake ID and drinks too much. The bartender knows Roman is underage but serves him anyway and secretly calls Olivia to pick him up before things get worse. Peter visits his cousin Destiny, who is shown smartly scamming rich couples for money. He tells her about the Vargulf, and Destiny warns that it will likely kill again, though nature may eventually stop it. She says killing it with a gun before the next full moon could work. When Peter tells her Roman is an Upir and knows his secret, Destiny panics and tells him to run away fast. Dr. Chasseur later questions Christina, who says the killer left no marks and again hints that Peter may be involved. As Peter and Linda try to leave town, Chasseur questions Peter about being a werewolf, making escape impossible. Peter later tells Roman he is scared and agrees to help find the real killer, starting by digging up Lisa's grave. As for Norman, he is watching his sleeping daughter and remembering Frances saying that he has seen thing inside her. Letha has a strong romantic dream about Peter while riding the bus to school. Christina still has terrible nightmares after finding Lisa's body, and during a sleepover with her friends, Alyssa and Alexa, sworn she cries and talks in her sleep until she suddenly wakes up screaming. Later at Hemlock Acres, Norman Godfrey and Clementine Chasseur question Francis. He says he saw the creature and describes it as a huge black dog with yellow eyes, but they are unsure.
The demon dog went for her lady part first.
When Chasseur says she was once a soldier to gain his trust, Pullman adds that the attack was disturbing, then stares at her and strangely says her wings are wet.
Your wings are wet.
Which deeply unsettles them. After he leaves, Norman and Chasseur agree he knows details not shared with the public, making his story more believable. Norman tells her to visit the White Tower and ask for Dr. Price without using his name. At the Godfrey estate, Shelley and Roman eat breakfast when Olivia arrives, orders Roman to drive Shelley to school, questions him about Peter, and angrily says Peter is no longer welcome slamming dishes. Shelley later writes an email saying her mother's temper is getting worse and that she met Jenny at Luke's country store. Jenny explains Olivia got her fired over her short relationship with Roman, then kindly shows Shelley amber earrings she loves, but knows her mother would forbid. Shelley worries things will keep getting worse. Chasseur studies police reports, notes both victims have identical bite marks, follows a lead about wolf signs, meets the sheriff, and finds a long yellow human hair as evidence. Olivia hears voices while using eye drops, uses more to stop them. Later follows Linda Rumansek, argues tensely, and leaves, while Linda mutters she is ready for trouble. After school, Roman and Letha meet Peter as he juggles for Shelley, ride home together, question Letha about Pullman, share a quiet moment, and Roman and Peter secretly agree to meet later while Peter packs supplies and Linda mentions her strange meeting with Olivia. Linda tells Peter that the eye drops Olivia uses were first sold to her by Peter's late uncle Vince, and now Olivia wants more but is too proud to ask directly. Linda enjoys making Olivia uncomfortable and says she will not give the drops easily. She also admits she knows Peter plans to dig up Lisa that night and gently tells him his grandfather would have been proud. Later, Olivia takes Shelley to the White Tower for a medical checkup and speaks vaguely with Dr. Price about Norman's company shares and someone trying to take control. Shelley and Dr. Price share a warm, friendly moment. Olivia talks about Letha's pregnancy and insists Letha give birth at the tower, even planning a new medical wing, and though Dr. Price is clearly annoyed, he agrees. As Olivia's medicine wears off, she hears voices again and rushes outside. While she is gone, Dr. Price shows Shelley a flower under glass and says it looks alive but is not truly living. That night, Chasseur and the sheriff drink together and talk about burial customs. After drinking, the sheriff questions her judgment, but Chasseur says she needs a hair sample from Lisa and will get it no matter what. Christina is treated for anxiety, later admits the truth to her friends, and the mood turns serious. Chasseur and the sheriff decide to dig up Lisa's grave. At the same time, Roman and Peter dig up the grave, talk about funerals, and Peter carefully takes a sample. Chasseur and the sheriff arrive, causing Roman and Peter to flee. The sheriff falls into the grave, while Chasseur calmly takes a hair sample. The next day, Chasseur says the hair is from a human male, making Peter the main suspect. 14 years earlier, JR and Norman Godfrey stop their car outside the Godfrey Institute and take a very small coffin from the trunk. Dr. Price quickly grabs it and rushes inside, and it is revealed that the body inside belongs to Shelley.
Body in. The name is Shelley. Shelley!
In the present day, Letha is no longer shy and goes up to Peter during lunch. They talk in a friendly and flirty way while sharing drinks and snacks. Letha asks Peter to look out for Roman, saying Roman has very few friends and needs someone to stop him from making bad choices. She also tells Peter how Olivia and JR met in Europe, and how JR later brought Olivia back to Hemlock Grove. While they talk, Peter finds a plastic ring shaped like a snake eating its own tail inside his snack box and gently puts it on Letha's finger. Roman watches this from a distance and looks clearly jealous. Meanwhile, Chasseur follows Norman's advice and questions Dr. Price at the Institute. When Price says he will record the meeting, the mood becomes tense. He talks about his research, denies any link to the murders, and claims the killer is a disturbed human. When Chasseur argues that no normal person could cause such damage, Price calmly crushes a tape recorder with his hand, leaving her shaken and suspicious. Sitting in her car later, Chasseur drinks from a flask and gets a call from a mysterious priest who says he trusts her, reminding her of a memory from 5 years ago involving a pregnant prisoner named Hermila with the same religious pendant. Back at school, Peter tries to comfort Christina, but she screams that he will not escape what he has done and runs away crying, later noticing part of her hair has turned white. That evening, Roman returns home to find a police officer waiting with a shovel and warning that Roman and Peter are now under close watch. Olivia becomes very angry, and when Roman tries to explain himself, she slaps him twice and orders him to leave. In a flashback, Chasseur breaks off a piece of rusty metal and tries to turn it into a weapon, while a pregnant woman in her cell, Hermila, hopes Chasseur will take her along when she escapes. Chasseur explains that she is a Marine, and that her brother Michael is also a Marine with a troubled past.
There's a brother, Michael. Marine like me?
She tells Hermila that if she wants to live, she must help, and she puts her to work on the weapon. Back in the present, Roman and Peter go to Peter's cousin Destiny and give her the jar with the evidence. Destiny calmly drops a caterpillar into the jar and says it will feed, explaining they must wait until morning. The next day, Peter returns with alcohol, and after the caterpillar feeds, Destiny swallows it and briefly seems possessed by Lisa's spirit. During this moment, Lisa explains how she died, only saying that she came to Hemlock Grove because she was invited. Norman becomes very worried after Shelley repeats the strange words about the dragon and goes to question Pullman again. Pullman tells him to go to the Institute and face Dr. Price. Price claims the dragon idea came from a poster and warns Norman that Lod LLC wants to buy his shares, which Norman does not trust. Price later tells Shelley not to repeat his words, and she agrees. Roman attends the Institute's anniversary party with Letha, but she feels sick and leaves, and Roman later gets into some drunk activities with Dale's wife. Outside at the gala, the drunk Dale accuses Olivia of killing Norman's brother, prompting Norman to hit him as they share a tense look. Back in the bathroom, Roman is enjoying some intimate time with Dale's wife. All of a sudden, his urges get the better of him as he grabs a blade and cuts his own chest, telling her that the Institute will be in good hands. Olivia drives her truck to the old abandoned Godfrey steel mill, looks around with clear disgust, feels sick, and then calls Sheriff Sworn to ask for more police patrols because she says people are wandering around the area. Meanwhile, Roman keeps spending time with Peter even though Peter's mother has strictly told him not to. Together, they watch the Willoughby house, waiting for the family to leave so they can search for a party flyer that Destiny mentioned. When Roman grows impatient, he goes up to the house, knocks loudly, and uses his powers to calmly convince the family to let him and Peter look inside. They search Lisa's room, but cannot find the flyer until Lisa's younger sister brings it to them. The flyer advertises a secret party near Castle Godfrey, which is the town's nickname for the steel mill. Later, while they are talking about what to do next, Peter gets a message from Letha asking to meet him.
Linda. She needs some help back at home.
Because she has something important to tell him. Roman asks who it is, but Peter lies and leaves to meet Letha at a diner. There, Letha tells Peter that she researched Olivia's past and discovered that Olivia had another child before Roman and Shelley, a baby named Juliet who died under suspicious circumstances. She also tells him that JR had accused Olivia of terrible things before he died. Elsewhere in the diner, Alexa and Alyssa help Christina get ready for a date with Tyler. They notice Peter and Letha together and start teasing them, which upsets Christina so much that she leaves quickly, saying she needs to find her grandmother. Later, Olivia takes Shelley to the local library to look for information about Romani studies, but they do not find what they are looking for. While helping Shelley choose books, Olivia suddenly collapses when she notices flashing red lights on a child's shoes. At the same time, Norman leaves a meeting with Francis, who urgently tells him to find someone named H. Varga if he wants to understand what is really happening at the Godfrey Institute and be able to help Olivia. Norman and Olivia share some awkward flirting after he drops Olivia and Shelley off at home. Roman sees them holding hands, and after that, Olivia tells Roman to drive Norman back home. In the attic, Shelley angrily tears apart some books while watching Norman leave, though it is not clear exactly why she is so upset. During the drive, Roman and Norman have an honest talk about caring for Letha and dealing with Olivia's difficult behavior. After dropping Norman off, Roman goes straight to Peter's trailer, where Peter has been dropped off by Letha. Meanwhile, Christina and Tyler go on a movie date and joke together afterward. Meanwhile, Norman drinks alone in his office while researching online. He learns that Lod LLC is hard to trace and discovers that H. Varga was found dead, with a note saying he had seen the dragon. Roman and Peter then go to explore the ruins of the steel mill. Inside, they discover the lower half of Lisa's body, but before they can decide what to do, the police arrive. Roman is arrested for trespassing after Olivia reports it. Peter hides to avoid being arrested, but once the police leave, he realizes he is trapped because Roman took the car keys. Norman calls Olivia to his office to question her about Dr. Price.
As long as I'm a Price of quarterly.
And why Letha would want to give birth at the institute instead of a hospital. Olivia is not surprised because it was her idea. Afterwards, they become intimate. Later, when Tyler tries to kiss Christina, she panics because of her trauma and screams at him. After the intimate moment, Olivia receives a phone call where she discovers that Roman has been arrested. Meanwhile, Peter explores further and finds dried, bloody shapes on the walls that look like angel wings. In a flashback about Juliet's death, Olivia handles the situation much better than JR, who becomes overwhelmed and sends her to his brother Norman for therapy, even though Norman clearly feels uneasy around her. In the present, Olivia and Roman sit in the car after picking him up from the police station. They argue at a crossroads, and the strange voices Olivia hears briefly become too strong for her. Peter finally gets home after being stuck at the steel mill, and Linda waits for him anxiously. He admits that she was right and that getting involved with Roman was a mistake.
Made a mistake.
That night, Chasseur secretly investigates the steel mill, but is confronted by the two officers who arrested Roman. They threaten to charge her with trespassing, but she points out the decaying lower half of Lisa's body nearby. Backup arrives, leading to a tense reunion between Chasseur and the sheriff, who is now clearly suspicious of her and doubts the animal attack explanation. Shelley takes the bus into town to visit Jenny at work, and Jenny shows her the earrings she had saved. Shelley buys them and returns home wearing them, which upsets Olivia when she discovers Shelley took the bus and sees the earrings.
What was that?
I took the bus.
Demanding she take them off. Roman defends Shelley and reveals that he, not Olivia, will inherit the Godfrey fortune when he turns 18, making Olivia's threats meaningless. Olivia is shaken, kisses her children goodnight, and leaves, while Roman gently puts the earrings back on Shelley and tucks her into bed. Later, he notices a painting in her attic that looks like an Ouroboros. That night, Norman is called away by an unknown person. After he leaves, Letha sneaks into his office to search for JR's suicide note and finds a letter addressed to Norman, warning him not to let Olivia destroy him. It is then revealed that the call Norman received was from the hospital, because Francis ended his life during the night by injecting himself with a fatal dose. The next day, Peter finds a folded note in his school locker with a disturbing drawing of a beheaded wolf, made with real materials. Shaken by this, he meets Roman and firmly tells him that he is ending their friendship and will no longer investigate with him. Roman begs him to stay, but when Peter refuses, Roman angrily warns him to stay away from Letha, or there will be consequences. Peter walks off. Around the same time, Olivia visits Linda at the Rumansek trailer and awkwardly asks for more of the eye drop drug, saying it helps with a medical condition. Linda agrees but charges a high price, which Olivia reluctantly pays, then eats some of the raw meat Linda is preparing before leaving. Linda later goes to celebrate with Destiny. On the school bus, Letha shows Peter her uncle's suicide letter, tells him about Pullman's death, asks about Roman, and later spends time with Peter at his trailer, where their feelings grow closer. Meanwhile, Roman continues to spiral emotionally, hurting himself and acting recklessly until Chasseur comes to question him about Peter. Roman refuses to reveal Peter's secret, though he admits that they disturbed Lisa's body for their ritual. When he offers to help, Chasseur tells him that suffering can make him stronger. Olivia interrupts the meeting with her cold presence, and as Chasseur leaves, she notices Olivia's large, expensive shoes, recognizing the same pattern from the muddy prints near the crime scene. Norman later calls Roman asking about Letha, and Roman realizes she is with Peter. He drives to Peter's trailer, sees through the window that Peter and Letha are being intimate, becomes devastated, and drives off in anger. He then goes to Ashley's house for shelter from the rain, but Roman acts dangerously, crosses a serious line of trust, and uses his powers to make her forget he was ever there. After taking drugs again, Roman loses control of his car, crashes into a tree, and survives. Through the rain, he sees the bright lights of the Godfrey Institute and suddenly feels inspired. Using his powers, he pushes past the front desk and walks through the building, calmly looking at strange cages and medical experiments until he finds 2 locked doors with the Godfrey name. When he cannot open them, he takes a welding torch to cut them, but Dr. Price appears and calmly tells him to stop. Roman angrily demands to know why the Ouroboros symbol keeps showing up in his life and dreams. Price leads him through a hidden passage beyond the doors to a glowing box called Project Ouroboros.
This is Project Ouroboros, Roman.
Roman only sees it briefly before Price injects him, and he falls into a coma. Later, Price tells Olivia he only gave Roman a sedative and cannot explain why he won't wake, suggesting it may be psychological. Olivia takes Roman home against his advice. At the mansion, Shelley stays by Roman's bedside and talks to him kindly, and in his coma, Roman hears her and enters a dream world where a version of Shelley explains he is going through a ritual descent and must face and destroy the darkness inside himself. Meanwhile, Chasseur secretly inspects Roman's damaged car until the sheriff confronts her, telling her to stay out of police matters unless wildlife is involved. She agrees, but immediately breaks into Peter and Linda's home to investigate further. The mysterious priest interrupts, listens to her findings, dismisses her concerns about Olivia, and orders her to bring him Peter, troubling her. Elsewhere, Letha, Norman, and Marie share a quiet moment until Olivia calls about Roman's condition, making Letha and Norman rush to the mansion. Roman continues dreaming, and Shelley guides him through dark tunnels to a doorway. When he walks through, he enters a bright courtyard where Chasseur stands beside a fountain filled with blood. In Roman's dream, Chasseur tells him he is not weak but must face a hard trial to grow from a child into an adult. She dips her hands in blood, marks a circle on his shirt, puts a silver spoon in his mouth, and warns that his birthright will not save him because the dragon will consume him. Roman walks into another part of the dream where Norman appears and coldly analyzes his journey, saying the trial may lead to his redemption. Then his father, J.R., appears, talks about family and legacy, blames Olivia for much pain, and reveals that Norman is Roman's real father. Roman enters a dream classroom with strange, unsettling images and sees terrifying visions of people he knows, including Letha's mother and Brooke Bluebell, who accuse him. He then finds himself on the steel mill roof with Peter as birds fall from the sky, before returning to Shelley, who warns him that time is running out. Panicked, Roman faces the dragon and sees a terrifying vision at the Godfrey mansion with a monstrous wolf, a dark opening beneath the house, and Ashley Valentine accusing him. But the scene shifts to show Olivia is at the center of his fear. Meanwhile, Peter wanders town alone, and Linda learns he is seeing Letha. First pleased, then shocked, she is a Godfrey. At school, Letha tells Peter Roman is in a coma. Peter later visits the mansion with a small protective statue for Roman, gives it to a tearful Olivia, and hears her admit Peter may have been good for him. Chasseur watches Olivia without questioning her, while Norman secretly meets Olivia. Peter and Letha share a quiet picnic as Chasseur observes from afar. Dr. Price records a message saying his plan worked, by showing Roman the truth and putting him in a coma as no one would believe him if he woke. Meanwhile, Shelley writes a heartfelt note to Roman, begging him to wake and stay in her life. Olivia moves gently around her comatose son's bed, almost like a careful child watching him closely. At Peter's trailer, Peter and Letha spend quiet time together, talking about Roman's condition and sharing family stories that reveal Peter's fear of being trapped and controlled. Chasseur struggles with stress from the case and memories of the first werewolf she killed. She remembers her initiation into the Order of the Dragon and the promise she made to fight evil, but admits to herself that she does not believe Peter is the killer, despite what the priest told her. Christina is again in the hospital, shaken, and when her friends Alyssa and Alexa visit, they ask their father if Christina can stay with them. He says it is better she remains in care for now, following Dr. Norman Godfrey's advice. Later, Norman and Olivia share a private moment before he returns home, where Marie confronts him about Letha's relationship with Peter. Norman promises to speak with Letha, telling her she should not be ashamed of her feelings but be honest with her family. Letha admits she loves Peter.
I'm in love with him.
And explains that people judge him unfairly, just as they judge Shelley. Shelley is visited by Jenny, who comes simply to be her friend. At school, Ashley gives Letha a get-well card for Roman and says she feels bad about how she treated him. Letha later asks Peter to dinner with her parents, leaving him nervous and unsure. Chasseur visits Destiny to question her about Peter, and Destiny senses Chasseur's inner conflict. Chasseur admits she feels lost and unsure of her mission, and Destiny gently warns her that Peter is not the person she is truly searching for. Elsewhere, Olivia checks on Roman's car at the auto shop and runs into Marie. Later that night, Marie and Norman host a dinner for Peter, who arrives feeling uncomfortable and out of place. A simple question about how Norman and Marie first met turns tense when Marie hints that she knows about Norman's past affair with Olivia, and the dinner with Peter ends suddenly. Around the same time, Peter's mother, Linda, visits Olivia at the Godfrey mansion to bring her the medication she needs, and as Olivia uses it, the two women talk about motherhood and form a strange bond as single mothers raising sons. Back at school, Peter is bullied by classmates who mock his background, his friendship with Roman, and his mother. When Peter finally gets angry, he is quickly surrounded, but Letha steps in to protect him, causing the bullies to back off. Olivia drives Peter and Letha home to the trailer, where Linda worries about Peter's injuries before giving them some quiet time. Later, Linda and Olivia speak privately, and Olivia suggests that Peter stay at the mansion for his safety.
Peter should stay at our house for a time.
Peter spends the rest of the day with Letha and Shelley at the Godfrey house, and Olivia tells him she is helping because Roman needs friends, even making a small joke about his condition. That night, Peter wakes, sees the moon, and goes to Chasseur's hotel room to speak with her. He explains that he senses something bad is coming and wants her to protect Letha and prevent more deaths, and Chasseur agrees. Later, alone and shaken, Chasseur says out loud that she believes this is her final duty and steels herself for what she must do. At Hemlock Acres, Norman walks with Christina, who again insists that Peter is responsible for the murders. Peter later returns to the mansion and asks Letha to promise she will stay safe because he plans to hunt the Vargulf. Letha becomes upset, telling him this is real danger, not a game, and that she is afraid for him. When she says she wants to go with him, Peter reacts harshly, leaving their relationship badly damaged. Letha is gone, and Peter sits in the attic next to Roman's bed, crying because he is very scared about facing the Vargulf and feels guilty that he may have hurt his relationship with Letha while trying to protect her. Suddenly, Roman wakes up from his coma. Peter worries that Roman might have forgotten everything, but it quickly becomes clear that Roman remembers almost all of it, including everything that happened before he collapsed. Roman gives a short apology for his behavior and tells Peter that he will help stop the Vargulf, whether Peter agrees or not. They leave together in Roman's car, with Peter driving very fast and carefully. Meanwhile, Chasseur is in her hotel room going through files and thinking about her next steps. She calls her twin brother Michael and tells him she plans to leave the Order after finishing this last task. Michael agrees, but warns her that the Order will not let her leave easily, though he promises to help and support her. Roman and Peter have a long, honest talk and slowly rebuild their trust, with Roman saying he wants to be Peter's friend and will never let him face danger alone. At school, Letha and Shelley walk together, talking about how much they miss Roman. Later, Roman secretly meets Shelley through a classroom window and they happily reunite. He asks her not to tell their mother because he still needs to take care of something important before leaving again. As Roman walks back to his car, a radio report announces a new curfew for all minors after dark.
And non-minors on the street after sundown will be expected to have a damn good reason to be.
Olivia enters Roman's room with food and quickly realizes he is gone when she sees the full moon and understands what he is doing, quietly muttering that he is a troublesome child. At the same time, Chasseur leaves a gun shop when she receives a call from the mysterious priest. He tells her that her brother Michael has contacted him, revealing that he knows what she is planning, which surprises and worries her as she tries to decide her next move. Chasseur tries to sound calm while talking to the priest on the phone, telling him that everything is fine, and then she drives straight to the police station where Sheriff Sworn is giving instructions to his officers. The sheriff is again annoyed to see her there without being invited. At Hemlock Acres, Norman briefly visits Christina in her hospital room, and as he leaves, he meets the sheriff in the hallway, who asks about how Christina is doing. Meanwhile, Roman and Peter return to the ruins of the steel mill and plan to wait there so Peter can change and use his heightened senses to track the Vargulf. That night, the sheriff carefully watches over his twin daughters at home. The girls play and joke together and share a tender moment with their father. But when the sheriff steps outside to check on some strange noises, the Vargulf attacks the house, killing both girls. Back at the mill, Peter begins to transform, but Chasseur is already hidden above with a tranquilizer. She quickly incapacitates him and tells Roman that Peter is not his friend and is not even fully human, forcing Roman to leave by threatening Peter and insisting that God does not want him to be happy, only strong. Olivia secretly hears all of this while hiding nearby. After Chasseur locks Peter in a cage, she calls the priest, who instructs her not to kill Peter, but to bring him back to the Order. She agrees, but immediately thinks about ending Peter's life to spare him suffering. Olivia intervenes, using her power to overpower Chasseur, despite the gunfire. The next morning, children discover Chasseur's abandoned truck in the woods with the cage empty and Chasseur gone. Meanwhile, Michael waits at their meeting place for his sister, but she never arrives, leaving him confused about her. Christina's hair turns completely white after she learns that her best friends, Alyssa and Alexa, have died, and when Norman visits her in the hospital, she does not respond at all. Feeling helpless, Norman leaves and goes to the town bar where Sheriff Sworn is drinking. Norman tries to convince the sheriff to go home and stop, but the sheriff is obsessed with revenge and believes the killings only began after the Rumenczek family arrived in town. Angered, the sheriff gathers some officers and leads a violent raid on the Rumenczek trailer, while Linda waits nervously for Peter to return, hiding as her home is destroyed during the search. At the ruined steel mill, Dr. Price shows up and angrily tells Olivia that the person she wanted handled has already been taken care of. Meanwhile, at the Godfrey mansion, Peter is safe and back in human form, resting in bed while Roman watches over him and explains everything that happened. Peter asks Roman to check on his mother, so Roman goes to the trailer and finds it in ruins. Linda emerges from a hiding spot, packs her few belongings, and refuses to leave with Roman, asking him only to protect Peter. Roman calls Peter to let him know Linda is safe, and Peter, relieved, eats hungrily. Letha then enters the kitchen, and she and Peter share an awkward but happy reunion. Their moment is interrupted when two police officers arrive, chase them through the house, and hold them at gunpoint. One officer treats Peter roughly, threatening him, and when Letha speaks up, the officer hits her and warns Peter he will face punishment if she intervenes again. Shelley hears the commotion, comes downstairs, and is terrified when one officer points a weapon at her. Suddenly, Roman uses his power to calm the officers and stop the dangerous situation, protecting everyone in the house. Roman shows control and does not let the officers seriously hurt themselves, but instead makes them drive far away and hit their own faces so they will remember the lesson. Meanwhile, Olivia and Norman talk quietly about the deaths of the sworn girls, and before she leaves, Norman tells Olivia that he plans to leave his wife for her. Olivia agrees outwardly, but inside she looks uneasy and troubled. Later, Norman meets Peter, Letha, and Roman at a small chapel near an abandoned part of Hemlock Acres to offer Peter a safe place to stay for the night. Roman goes into the hospital to gather blankets and, while there, briefly sees Christina, who speaks in a strange way before disappearing. Roman returns with the supplies and Norman comes with food. Together, they interrupt the quiet time between Peter and Letha, take Letha away, and leave Peter alone for the night. During the night, Christina disappears, and the next morning, police find the remains of a girl near the beach. Roman then visits Destiny, who explains that Peter must face the Vargulf as a wolf, and that to change when the moon is not right, he must perform a special ritual to learn the price he must pay. Destiny gives Roman the materials needed for the ritual, and Peter performs it alone, which leaves both him and Roman deeply upset. Afterward, Peter collapses near the hospital grounds, remembers the advice of his grandfather, and decides to stay and face the danger ahead. Peter tells Roman that he will need large amounts of bacon grease for the process and warns that breaking the rules will cost him his human face. Roman cooks huge amounts of bacon to gather the grease, while Olivia gives him an axe similar to the one from his dream and instructs him to destroy a painted image of a wolf, which he does carefully. It is soon revealed that Chasseur is still alive, but she is badly injured and being kept in a cage in an unknown location. Chasseur is still alive, trapped inside a sack and a cage in the ruins of the Godfrey steel mill. She struggles against her bindings, and with great effort, she frees herself and begins working on the lock. Later, Norman asks Sheriff Sworn if the body that was found belongs to Christina, but the sheriff says the ID shows it is Jennifer Fredericks instead. This gives Norman hope that Christina might still be alive, while Sworn stays angry and says he will not rest until Christina is safe and Peter is dead. Back at the mill, Olivia arrives calmly and tells Chasseur a childhood story about a game called Wolves in the Wood, where her cousins would pretend to hunt her and then tickle her when they caught her. As Chasseur finally opens the cage, she cries out and the scene cuts away. At Letha's house, Christina, with her white hair, suddenly appears. Letha kindly lets her inside to warm up, while Christina makes sure no one else knows she is there and checks that Norman is not home. While Letha turns away, Christina quietly insults her and warns that she left the hospital because it was not safe and that something dangerous is coming for both of them. At the abandoned church, Peter and Roman meet again. Roman gives Peter the bacon grease and shows him the axe Olivia gave him. Peter says seriously that the creature will be waiting for him that night. Roman then receives a call from Letha asking for help, and Peter insists on coming too, even if he has to hide in the car. Elsewhere, Sheriff Sworn stands outside Jenny Fredericks' house with a gun, believing the danger may return, while officers try but fail to calm him. Olivia calls Dr. Price about what happened at the mill. During their tense conversation, it is revealed that Laud LLC played a role in sending Chasseur to Hemlock Grove. Olivia then orders Price to clean everything up and leaves. Price later discovers that Chasseur is still alive, but badly injured and barely conscious. Price speaks softly to Chasseur and then quietly ends her life before starting to get rid of her body. Meanwhile, Sheriff Sworn is brought to Norman's office. Norman tries to act caring, but Sworn coldly warns him that another girl will die tonight and tells him to talk to the women he cares about while he still can. Peter and Roman go to Letha's house and are surprised to see Christina there. She stays calm around Peter and later apologizes for spreading rumors about him. Roman drives Peter, Letha, Christina, and himself to a convenience store. Peter quietly tells Roman he thinks the Vargulf will target Christina next. so they need to be ready. The cashier at first refuses to help because of past insults, but Roman sincerely apologizes, and they are allowed to buy the cable wires they need. At the Godfrey mansion, Norman visits Shelley, apologizes for lying about his relationship with Olivia, and sadly tells her that the latest victim was her friend Jenny. Shelley becomes upset and runs away. The group then takes shelter in the abandoned church, where Christina admits to Peter that she once kissed him out of curiosity, studied werewolves, and drank water from his paw print after a full moon, which turned her into the Vargulf. Peter and Roman act quickly. Roman holds back Letha while Peter ties up Christina, telling her if she changes, he will have to stop her. Christina admits she came to Letha out of jealousy and feels connected to Peter, not wanting him to hate her, but Peter cannot hurt her while she is still human. As the change finishes, Christina apologizes, and a white wolf appears. Peter steps forward, covering his face with bacon grease as part of the ritual, and the wolf attacks, seriously injuring him. Letha panics and tries to run, while Roman grips his axe, ready to fight the wolf. In a flashback, Peter and Christina are still friends. Christina talks in the Romancek living room while Peter quietly drinks and listens. She admits she feels strange and different at school, and Peter kindly encourages her, giving them a gentle bonding moment. In the present, Letha struggles with the locked church doors while Roman faces Wolf Christina. Just as things seem hopeless, Peter returns in his black wolf form after paying the price he mentioned earlier, and a final fight begins between him and Christina. Christina overpowers Peter and injures him, then turns toward Letha and Roman, but Shelley suddenly appears, pulls Christina away, and ends the threat by breaking the wolf's neck. Christina's body returns to human form. Roman comforts Shelley, but Sheriff Sworn shoots at her from behind, causing her to run into the woods. Roman and the sheriff chase her, but Roman uses his power to stop the sheriff from hurting her further and continues searching alone. Inside, a shaken Letha watches the sheriff carry Christina's body away, then holds Peter as he weakly recovers and turns back to human form, alive and healing, which gives her relief. Roman goes home to tell Olivia what happened and admits he cannot find Shelley. Peter and Letha go to Destiny's house where Linda is waiting. Linda tells Letha that her love helped Peter survive, and they embrace. Norman hears a radio report that falsely blames Shelley for the deaths and tells Letha that the town leaders agreed to keep the story to protect people still alive. Letha agrees to go along with it to protect Peter. Olivia and Roman later plan to protect Shelley if she returns. Christina's funeral is held with Letha and Norman attending to keep appearances, and the sheriff resigns, blaming the Institute for everything. Norman signs over his shares to Lod LLC. Peter drives Roman to see Destiny, who cannot find Shelley but senses trouble in Roman's future, and then Peter gets a call that Letha is in labor, prompting him and Roman to rush to the hospital. In the hospital waiting room, Peter and Roman quietly celebrate with cigars and talk about Shelley. Roman admits he used his powers to force himself to see her, which deeply unsettles Peter and reminds him of Destiny's warning that Roman's choices could affect everyone close to him. Letha's delivery goes wrong, and emergency staff rush in, but both Letha and the baby die, leaving Norman, Roman, and Peter devastated. Norman begs Dr. Price to save Letha like Shelley was saved, but Price explains the process only works on infants and later privately breaks down over the loss. Peter and Linda pack their things and leave town, with Peter cutting his hair before they go. Olivia takes Roman to see Peter, but the trailer is empty, and Roman grieves for losing both Peter and Letha. Olivia remembers her own painful past, including abandonment and a daughter who was taken from her. Norman separates from his wife and returns to Olivia. She then shows Roman a newborn child and tells him it is his, claiming he must kill the baby to fulfill his destiny. Horrified, Roman refuses and tries to harden himself, then takes his own life, which instead transforms him into an Upir. He turns on Olivia and becomes the new head of the Godfrey family. Meanwhile, Chasseur's brother Michael is told Roman caused his sister's death and vows revenge, and Sheriff Sworn sinks further into anger and violence. Peter and Linda drive away, and Peter briefly sees a vision of Shelley on the roadside. At the Institute, Dr. Price places Olivia's body in the morgue with quiet satisfaction, and the mysterious figure in the hidden box opens its eyes.